Hello, everybody. Welcome to Purple Phases. Here we talk about the different phases and stages that us as Black women go through. I'm your host, Jada Weber, a 22-year-old actress, writer, model, and poet. I am also a young Black woman creating a safe space for other Black women to feel seen and heard. And on today's episode, we will be discussing what does it mean to be weird. I have two other special and gorgeous guests with me today by the name of Ari and Venus. Hello, y'all.
Hey.
Venus, would you like to introduce yourself first to the listeners and tell them a little bit more about who you are and what it is exactly that you do?
Yeah, for sure. So as she said, my name is Venus. I'm 21. I am a multimedia artist. The main medium that I'm focusing on right now is music. I'm also getting my foot back into producing and making beats and stuff, but mainly I'm a recording artist, multiple genres.
Period.
And I guess right now I'm just like learning new things. Like I just came from a class learning how to grow like mushrooms,
Okay.
both like edible and like psychedelic. So that's like a new journey. Like shrooms, and as well as other just like internal personal work that doesn't have anything to do with like herbs or whatever. But shrooms have been like a decent part of my like growth and my development. As who I am today. So yeah,
That's beautiful.
A little bit
I
about
love that. Girl, no, that's right. Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
What about you, boo? What about you, Ari?
Hi, I'm Ari. I'm 23 years old. I'm an entrepreneur, a student, Lash Tech, hopefully a future producer on the show if my friend hires me.
She's getting hired. Yeah, it's a process.
It's the process.
Yeah, just Leo.
Big Leo.
Big Leo, you know that. And yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Period. And since we speaking of zodiac signs before we really get into it, Big Libra. What's up, Venus? What's up with
Big
you?
Taurus sun, Sag moon, Aries rising. Yeah.
So it's air, fire, and earth.
Mhm.
Okay, we all different signs. I'm here for it. So
Avatar.
right.
We just missing water.
Exactly, Pisces. But yeah, y'all, let's get into it. So I had titled this episode, What Does It Mean to Be Weird? Because I really feel like it's an important conversation to have, especially as a young Black woman. I feel like it's rare that I feel like we have these type of discussions.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like, you guys was the perfect, guest to talk about it. So let's get into it. I want to start off by first asking you, Ari, what does it mean to you to be weird?
I feel like weird has like multiple meanings. It's like
Right.
can be used in so many ways, and you could say like for this generation it's kind of overused. I feel like, but it's like not at the same time, because it's like a perfect word to describe stuff. Like,
right,
if somebody is acting funny towards you, why you being weird?
Right, why you being weird to me? That's so true.
Why you being weird? Like, you dressed a certain way, like, oh, that's weird.
Right.
It's just a lot of things that could be, but
that's true.
I feel like for Black women, like, especially with style and things like that, we could be considered weird, which is not even weird. I feel like alternative style,
yes,
or like maybe, I don't know, just having your own way of dressing and being, period. Like, people will call it weird, but I don't think it is.
Exactly. I totally agree with that. What about you, Venus?
So I agree that weird can mean like multiple different things. To touch on like what you talked about like having like an alternative style, or it even goes beyond like physical style as well. Sometimes it could just be the way that you carry yourself in a room. I feel like it's always deemed as weird to be quiet, especially as like a Black girl. Like if you're a Black girl, you cute, you dress different, and you're quiet, that's just like, it's just weird. Like, and you intimidated as fuck. Like, you have no clue how many people have told me that they're intimidated by me, and it's not for reasons of like, oh, I'm a mean person or this, because I'm super nice, super gentle, super cool, whatever.
Right.
So I think that it also plays into like just the way you move and act as well. If you're not in everybody's face and you look different, it's just like, oh, now you really weird.
Heavy on it, and you look different though.
Heavy on that, because that does play into it for sure.
Exactly. Let's talk about it, especially if you're if you're a young Black woman coming from the inner city, such as myself, God forbid you rocking some fucking, moon boots or something like that. Oh my God. She's shaking the table.
Exactly.
It's just like,
wait, is they in the camera?
I'm gonna do camp if I want to do
Moon
camp.
boots in the building,
and that's just what it is. And I'm gonna become with it. Like,
period.
But I just feel like for me personally, being weird is just overall standing out. It's not black and white. It's literally the complete opposite. It's being abstract, or people say normal. Being weird is what you would call abnormal, so to speak. Right. I feel like me personally, I always knew I was weird since I was a child. Right? It was the way I expressed myself, the way I talk. I didn't want to look like nobody else. ever. I just always wanted to be me. I just always had my own unique way of expressing myself, basically. But, you know, it came with some challenges, you know, because before I even knew what exactly weird meant, I still knew I was weird, if that makes any sense. And then it's like we were saying earlier, people have their own definitions of what weird is. So people got their own idea of what weird is, and they're trying to project it onto you. And then when I have my own unique way of expressing my weirdness, then it's like, oh shit, this is a little too weird. Like making other people uncomfortable.
Right.
So, I just had to, you know, get that off my chest.
Yes.
I just want to say one more quick thing about like, that's another thing too. When you're a kid, you don't know that you're weird until you get around other people and they be like, this is weird, because you just think like you say you're so yourself that it's not really like it's not an abnormal or peculiar thing for you to dress this certain way, or for you to talk this certain way, or listen to this kind of music. You think everybody doing their own thing, not thinking that there's people who can be themselves, and the people who just want to be in a herd mindset and fit in with other people because they're afraid to show themselves.
Show themselves. And I think that that's definitely a great valid point. I feel like I'll be trying to think like, when was the first time I was ever called weird by others, especially when I was young, in a negative notation? Because, you know, it's one thing when you growing up and you're comfortable within your weirdness, but, you know, when somebody outside of you be like, oh, that's weird, but it's like, you know, they got the stank face. Whereas it's a negative notation, if you internalize it, that can be really hard, because you feel like, damn, like, okay, I'm not being accepted. Those is definitely some challenges I felt throughout my weirdness, you can say. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, all right, what you think about that? Like, how was you being weird coming up for you as a young Black woman?
I feel like y'all said, I didn't know it was being weird. I just thought it was being myself.
Right.
And just me being like me, I never wanted to be like nobody else. Like, I didn't want to. My main thing, my friends can literally vouch. I'd be like, I don't look like I'm from Milwaukee, do I? Like, I just don't be
look like you from Milwaukee.
I don't know, because Milwaukee be having like a certain look to it.
I get what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying? I just didn't want to look like everybody else. I wasn't like everybody else anyway, because I put my grades first. You know, growing up in the inner city, it's like, you know, that's not cool. So I was always on top of my grades. I had different type of friends. Like, I messed with the Black girls, I messed with the Asians, I messed with the Mexicans. Like, I was always intermingling with everybody. So it was even points where my Black girlfriends would be like, oh, why you being weird? Like,
okay,
you know what I mean? Just hanging with different type of ethnicities and things like that. But that's just me. Like, so I guess that it affected me, I would say, not to on me, because it just made me like see that people are really closed-minded when it comes to things like that. Like, you can't have other friends. Like, I can't be worried about my grades. Like, what? Yeah. But, you know, that's just when I knew. I never been afraid to set apart from everybody. So that was just like, I guess, my villain origin story right there. Becoming weird.
Listen, anyway. They say you a villain in somebody's story.
Right. Even with like dressing and things like that, because my style has always been kind of, I had Hello Kitty Vans, like, you know what I mean? Like, it was always giving a little bit of Harajuku, you know what I mean? So people will always even call me weird for that. But again, I never been afraid of being set apart from everybody else, because like, that's just who I am. So, yeah.
Exactly, and that's important, because you want to set the tone to be an individual. You know, it's so many people who feel uncomfortable within their weirdness, and then they seeing you being weird, and it's like, damn, like, that's inspiring. So for me, that's always the goal, you know, in a positive light, just be yourself. But what about you, Venus? Like, what are some struggles that you felt like as a young Black woman, as you came into a sense of yourself of what weirdness was for you growing up?
So I think when I was younger, I always felt like, not to say I always felt like the oddball out, but especially like I remember like in middle school, pre-teenhood, like that period right before puberty, where your hormones is just like everywhere, and you really trying to like establish who you are, or not even establish or not even establish who you are because you're a kid, but at least establish like your sense of style. Like, you know, you start dressing yourself around that age. So I noticed, I would say one of the first instances that I've experienced. Wait, I'm sorry. What was the question? I'm high.
No. Period. Transparency. We're gonna keep it real.
Repeat the question one more time for me. One more time.
Yeah. So, for you, you know, coming up in your childhood, anyways, as a young Black woman, as far as you come into yourself of weirdness, how was that experience like for you?
I guess growing into my self-awareness, it like I guess showed me that I don't need to try to fit in, because like I said, I always felt like an oddball, but there was like a difference in me like feeling like that and feeling like, oh, I have to feel weird about sticking out like a sore thumb, or I can accept the fact that I stick out like a sore thumb. And I would say like that happened, like I said, around like pre-teenhood. I just accepted the fact that, okay, I'm not gonna fit in. I don't want to dress the same way as these, the other girls in my class, or I don't want to like, and not even to be like that, like I'm not like other girls, because I hate people like that, but it really just came from like true authenticity, not from me being like, oh, I want to be so different from them because I'm so separated from my womanhood and my like girlhood. But on some real shit, I just didn't feel the need to try to fit in if I know that this is not me.
That makes sense.
So yeah, I would say definitely pre-teenhood I kind of had that understanding, and then it was accelerated in high school, but I assume we'll get to that later because that's like a whole other thing.
Okay, yeah. I feel like for me coming up, it was always like this love and hate relationship, if that makes any sense, with my weirdness, because I was still becoming who I am today as a woman, first of all. So if we talking about childhood, it was always great for me. I didn't give a fuck. Listen, I didn't care. I'm doing me. That's just what it was. But I feel like when I started going to school anyways, socially, it kind of started affecting me a little bit, because even when I would feel like a sense of like comfortability within my weirdness, let's just say my friends or something like that, they like different things. Again, I'm still discovering what the fuck a friend is. So I'm like, damn, okay, they don't like this. I'm just trying to, it was more so always like this constant back and forth battle of trying to figure it out, if that makes any sense, while still feeling affirmed, even when others around me wasn't like always affirming me. And I feel like I definitely like felt like a what they call like the black sheep, you could say, with my weirdness. Not to get too personal, but like in the household, it was like that, because for one, it was just like I wasn't like my siblings. Shit, I wasn't like my parents, and that's okay. But when you coming from a household that don't affirm that, or affirm that, supports you, that can be hard as fuck, because you really feel alienated. Then on top of that, I'm just a young chocolate woman. Like it was already certain things pit against me with my weirdness. Colorism plays a role. My gender as a woman played a role. So I just felt like it was already certain oppressive things going on that I was still trying to process while still loving my weirdness, if that makes any sense. So and I feel like I still kind of sometimes struggle with that, not in a extreme way, but like in a progressive way, if that makes sense.
Like I'm growing out of it.
Yeah, like I'm trying to
just a little bit.
Right, I'm just trying to learn and grow and just more so love and accept my weirdness for just what the fuck it was.
That's right.
So yeah, that's just how I feel about that. But I definitely want to ask you guys, like, who was the first person that y'all could recall who called you weird? Like, we can go as early as childhood, we can do high school, middle school, recently.
I can say the last time that I remember. So I work in a school, that I work in MPS schools.
I do too.
Like,
high school or what grade? Middle school?
Like K through 8.
I wanted to do K through 8, but I'm doing high school.
I think I'm about to go to high school.
It's way more chill.
I believe that, because it's real.
I'll be thinking it ain't. Okay.
Yeah, but like I was saying, we're just working in that, and it's an inner city school. So just the way that I dress and stuff like that, they be like, you dress like a white girl, or like, why you got your hair be cute, but like nobody be doing their hair like that. So I know that, I'm just me being me is broadening their horizon to how different Black women can look, period, and act. Because another thing is, they say that I don't act white, but they say like I act like, what's proper? The word that they use? Yeah, what proper. That's actually the word, proper. Okay. I'm like, it's not proper. It's just like, I'm in my professional setting. This is how you're supposed to act. Just trying to be an example, because they don't have a lot of that, clearly. Right. But that's like the last time that I remember. But it's just like those type of, I hope that those type of experiences that I have with the kids, like, you know what I'm saying, just show them like it's all different types of ways to be. Like, you don't have to be one way.
Yes, that's the one. It's all different types of ways to be. Exactly. And again, like, once again, being weird, first of all, it doesn't have a specific definition.
Exactly.
Even in the way we breaking it down is from our own personal experiences. So even when other people say something is weird, that's probably from something they seen somebody else do. So 9 times out of 10, that thought of weirdness didn't even come technically from them. It came from somebody else. Exactly. So it's just all an illusion, y'all. Like,
Literally.
But what about you, Venus? I want to know.
I would say like one of my first times I could remember being called weird is I was a young kid, and it also was based on the same thing, how I was talking. I think we all grew up in the inner city. I grew up on 24th and Richards, which is like, it's more gentrified now, but it definitely was way more like, you know, rougher neighborhood when I was younger. So nobody around me was hanging around with Hispanic kids or hanging out with the mixed kids or the white kids. I don't know, I wouldn't even say that shaped the way that I spoke. I just naturally have always, you know, spoken this way. And I don't even think I sound like white or proper, but you know, to the kids in my neighborhood, that's what they said. And so I wouldn't necessarily say that I was picked on, but I kind of was made to feel different because of that. And then as I grew to when I got out of middle school, so elementary through middle school, I went to like a uniform school, so there wasn't really a big way for me to express myself. But I still found ways to express myself. That's another thing too. So I would like make these like flower crown headbands, and like I would literally make them and sell them in middle school. Entrepreneurs since middle school.
Big CEO.
Big CEO. And so yeah, I was really like selling them all type of shit, and like it became like a trend within the girls. So like I don't know. And then even just like certain shoe choices, I noticed a lot of the girls picking up on from me. But anyway, it's not even about, that's another thing too, being weird. You notice a lot of people will try to like imitate you.
Ooh, let's talk about it.
But I've learned to see it as more, not even like flattery, because even that could be arrogant. But okay, we clearly have something that is similar about us. Why would I look at you as lesser than me because you're, you know, I'm inspiring you? Like that's something that should bring me happiness. I shouldn't feel any type of way. I don't care if a girl wore the exact same outfit as me. I feel like yeah, and you look good, period. Like it's no reason to feel like, I don't know. That's something I'm also still growing out of.
Right.
But so like, I gave the example of the first time I felt weird about the way that I like speak and the way that I present myself.
Right.
So as far as when I went to high school and started like dressing myself like actually head to toe, I noticed immediately that the way I was dressing was like not like normal. So already talked about in the previous podcast, I was in high school wearing, and I still wear like thick ass like platforms, but literally like literally wearing a fucking dress, like literally dressed off the girls that was on Euphoria before that shit even came out, like literally wearing like platforms with my makeup done. I would wake up every day and do my makeup, and I would do like, you know, alternative style, like color eyeliner, glitter, all type of like, yes,
I can relate to that a lot.
Yes. So that was the most recent time where I remember feeling weird, specifically for the way that I look and appear, was in high school. I would just get comments about it all the time, but the thing that changed in high school was that I was more confident, so no one was like coming at me like, oh, she weird, let's pick on her. Like there was none of that. Maybe in middle school I definitely was bullied, but once high school, like I said, I got more confident in myself, and I just wouldn't allow anyone to make me feel weird about who I was. So that was like a pivotal point, me being in high school, and for the one time in my like childhood, fully being able to dress myself and show up as whoever I want to be.
That's beautiful. I definitely want to touch on two different things because you said so much, because I'm like, oh, some point. You was talking about the immutating, I believe. I want to talk about that a little bit because I want to quote you right. I'm trying to remember what you said. If I recall correctly, you were just like, you see it as a form of flattery when other people, you know, emulate a similar style that you.
Flattery in a way, but I feel like there's even some arrogance to that. Like more like, okay. Yeah, like appreciation, like, because I feel like when people say, "Oh, you copy, you flattering," that's still you still looking down at that person, like, "Yeah, bitch, you got this for me." But it's like on some real, like, okay, I appreciate your style, you clearly appreciate mine, so it's like, you know, real.
I can agree with that, but I think for me too, I'm looking at it like, I guess it depends on how the person who got inspired by my weirdness and the way I express myself. Specifically, let's just say we're talking about fashion. That depends for me because. Okay, it depends on the relationship for one, if we friends, whatever. But at the same time, it's like, let's just say you clearly are like Aaliyah Core. Y'all know Aaliyah. Yeah. Love her down. You know, she has her own way of expressing herself through her outfits and stuff like that. She created her own trend. I got something else
to say about what she did create her own trend in a way, but like we've been dressing like that. Like that's the true. Same. No. She just did it in a different way, and I guess made it more popularized for Black girls. But like we've been dressing like that. I've been dressed like literally.
But like what I'm saying is, I think for me, like, I don't know, like let's just say I dress a certain way and now other, you know, Black women or women in general, people in general want to dress like that. It's just like, I feel like it's not what you do, it's how you do it, in a sense of how you show your appreciation. Because there's a difference between you feeling, okay, let's just say, you know, for a fact, the person who is emulating you, they ain't give you no shout outs, they ain't being supportive.
That's who.
They just acting like they set the tone or giving it to somebody else when you clearly know they definitely got it from you. You have the receipts. That's where it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's where I'm kind of like, I can agree with that in a sense of like appreciating somebody, you know, imitating my weirdness, but it's not what you do, it's how you do it.
That's
Definitely
true.
do it in a respectful manner. That's how I'm, you know, feel about that.
For sure.
What
I
you
agree.
think about that, Ari?
I definitely, well, first of all, again, I would like to reiterate, I am a Leo. Me and Soulja Boy definitely have the same exact birthday.
I didn't even know.
Sometimes I get a little Soulja Boy syndrome. I am not gonna lie.
Soulja Boy, tell him.
Like, I did it first.
He's a trendsetter. He set the
He
tone
is.
too.
He
But
is,
that's
though,
the
for real.
thing
It's a whole nother
about
conversation.
being a Leo, period. Not to make it about zodiac signs, but like
I
we
love Leos.
are like trendsetters, you know what I mean?
agree.
And things like that. Like, even I can recall sometimes like my parents, my dad specifically, will always trying to play on my top for some things. Like, I
Okay.
used to do dress, you know,
Mhm.
wear all that. But then I turn around and I see he trying to do like the same things. Like, girls at
For sure.
school, like trying to, especially since I
Felt
transferred
this.
to a predominantly white high school coming from the inner city, and they just had never seen nothing like me for real. Like, and that's
Alien
like not even
superstar,
trying
okay?
to no, for real, not even trying to be like that, but it's like I'm
It's
just
real though.
I'm just
Right.
me again. And then coming from the inner city to this like dang near all white school, like it
Yeah.
was just like a shell shock to me, to everybody in the school. Like, and then I could just see like it was some black girls in the school, but then as soon as they seen me, it was like they started to do some of the things that I know is me. Like, and they wasn't, again, like you said, it's different when it's your friends. It's different when it's like somebody you know. It's different because like if you my friend or something like that, like if you want to do something I do, bitch, we're twinning. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's different like that. But
It's
then
genuine
like
love.
you was trying to look at me up and down like I with your stank face, and
For
then
sure.
you turn around and
That'd
then
be
I
the
see
thing.
you doing something that I do, dressing like how I dress. Like, it's not flattering, but you know, I just accept it for what it is, because like I said, you know, somebody's got to set a trend.
I agree with that.
And it's gonna
No,
be
for
me,
real.
you know?
Hey, now let's talk about it. As you should. I want to talk about that though a little bit more, about how, as a black woman, because I went to an all-white school too, I felt like I didn't realize certain things like I realize now that I'm more educated on certain things, like how white supremacy affects us in general in the black community. But for me as a black woman, I feel like how do I explain this? So it's similar to what you were saying, Ari. I'm from the hood. I'm just a little black girl from Chicago, Southside, Inglewood. You know what I mean? The sauce is in me, it ain't on me. You know what I mean? So it's just like when I was going to the all white schools, it was predominantly white. However, certain things that I wasn't prepared for, literally nobody prepared me for this shit. Not even my own mom and dad. But anywho, we ain't gonna get into that. It was my other black peers. Because let's talk about it. Like, okay, they are coming from the other black children in the all white school specifically. They're already assimilating into whiteness. So it's just like, remind you, as a child, I don't know what all that shit mean. I'm just thinking we all like Hannah Montana here and there, or we doing the chicken hit, you know, crank that something. But like, I'm not thinking about certain things. I was only in I was in elementary school and middle school is what I'm talking about when I was going to the white schools. So for me, it just felt more so like disheartening when I would see other black people in my own, like my classmates, so to speak, who would make fun of me or for being hood and, you know, express myself in certain ways, or liking both this and that and alternative music, pop and hip hop. And meanwhile, they just been assimilating into whiteness and stuff like that. I would try not to, I don't know, say certain things like, you know, we hear things like coon and sellout and stuff like that. But remind you, when I was coming up, I just looked at it like, bitch, what is you on? Like, are we not on the same type of time?
Yeah.
But then I ended up realizing, like, no, they coming from households where, you know, they come from a lot of like traditional black households in a sense of like, you're the monolith, right? A lot of us struggle with that in the black community. Like, you know, we work hard, you know, we try to get our children, so to speak, if we do have children, in the best conditions as possible. I get all those type of things, but I think as a collective, where we be fucking up at is when you teach your children that you have to be twice as better or good as their white counterparts. That's not fair at all. Because now when they meet other black children who don't come from that same type of mindset, they looking at them like they're the ops, or like they're the exception. That's the word I'm looking for. So for me, it was just like, when I was on some weird shit and being, you know, a young black girl, it was more so hard for me to really understand that, because when it would be other black people, my peers, especially at all white schools, I just felt like they would, not all of them though, shout out to the ones who stick with me, okay, but the ones who were just looking at me like, bitch, you weird, or like, oh, you a little hood, like. And let me say this too, how do I explain this? How do I put this into words, y'all? When we talk about weirdness, I feel like for me in the black community, things I've experienced, it's a lot, y'all. It's just so much. Like, if we speaking on, if you're a weird, young black woman, coming up, especially from the hood, right. A lot of times, again, I'm speaking from my own experience, my peers would view whiteness as weirdness. And I'm just like, what the fuck is that about? First of all, we created everything, rock,
that's right,
pop, R&B, hip hop. So it's
even
just
country.
Yeah, it's just like, again, it's just like, oh, like, you don't listen to just this, you don't just listen to Young Thug, you don't just listen to the City Girls, and it's like, I love all them, but there's more to me as well. I'm very introspective. But yeah, I just really had to get that off my chest. Like, Mina, did you feel like thank you, did you face any, I really want to know this too, I meant to talk about this earlier, when you was going to because I know you spoke a lot about how, like, growing up as a young black woman, as you experience your weirdness and stuff like that, you were speaking about how it was also really hard for you to, like, have, like, other races of friends, I believe, like Mexican or his, like,
well, those are the type of friendships that I guess not even that I gravitated to, but that gravitated to me because I was this weird black girl. Other black girls didn't really want to be my friends, or if they were trying to be my friends.
I've experienced that too, but I want to ask, like, did you experience, like, microaggressions? Like,
not from the
other races, like, outside of black?
Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. No. Not as a kid, no. I feel like kids don't really be. I'm not saying kids can't be racist, but, like, they don't be thinking about that shit. At least not from what I never remember any of my Hispanic friends. I only had, like, one white friend as a kid, but I had a lot of Hispanic friends. And I had a couple mixed friends too. Never any, like, microaggressions. I did. I wouldn't even say I faced any type of, like, ridicule from other black girls, like, verbally, but you could just tell, like, they wasn't fucking with me. Like, they literally wasn't. Or if they was trying to be my friends, it was literally solely for the purpose of trying to talk to one of my big brothers or some shit like that. Or trying to ask me, where did I get this from? Where did you get that? Like, all that other shit.
Keeping it real.
Yeah, that'd be the other thing. Bitches only want to be your friends when you got something that they want, or just whatever. So
listen.
Yeah. So I hope that answered the question.
It did. Because I feel like we was talking, like, a lot about different things we experience within our own community. So I just want to know, like, when it came to you specifically as a young black woman being weird, what was some experiences with other counterparts, like, outside of your race?
Outside of my race, when I was a kid, I feel like I was welcome in other communities more than. I wouldn't even say more than my community, because I feel like that sounds like a certain way. That sounds like the black boys that be like, oh, I never dated black girls because they never fuck with me. Because, like,
listen, the anti-blackness jump out.
No, literally, it do be jumping out of them. But no, it's I don't know how to explain it. I wanted to be friends with everybody. That's the thing. I didn't really care about race when I was young. I still don't either. A couple years ago, I went through a phase of being like, I don't want to even associate with white people, but now I might be open to be friends with white people because they be cool.
But why was that?
Why did I?
Like, why did you feel like that? Like, you didn't want to be associated with white people?
Well, after I got, like, older, like early teenhood, and, like,
right, because that's what I meant to say too. Like, did you experience microaggressions with, like, white people specifically? The older you got?
Not when I was younger. No, I'm not gonna lie. When I got older, yes, because I came more. That's another thing too. Maybe I wasn't aware of it as a kid, but at the same time, I was only friends with other kids, so. Kids, I don't know, but as I got older, I became more aware of racism in general and the systems that the way that we're affected as, like, black women, and I became more aware of that shit. So I would say that I experienced it more as I got older, but as I was a kid and being friends with, like, other Hispanic people and like other races, I never experienced that. No. Any type of microaggressions.
Did you experience any microaggressions, Ari?
As a kid, no, because, like, most of my settings were, like, all black. I didn't really get around, like, a big groups of white people where I could even have them type of interactions until I transferred high school. Because, like, even, like, the inner city schools I was going to, it was, like, maybe 2 white people, and then everybody else that was a minority was, like, Asian or Mexican, and, like, I never experienced nothing from them. But, like, as soon as I went to the white schools, it was a wrap. Like, and then it's different because like when you little, maybe you might experience a microaggression or something like that, but you just don't know it. As
Right, that's
opposed
what
to
Venus
you
was
being
saying, too.
older, like this is me. I'm 16, 17. I'm like, what? The
You already hit to
fuck?
this shit at that
I'm
point.
like,
so.
man, this some other shit. I don't know. Like, this shit crazy. But that's another thing that set me apart. I wouldn't say it was me being weird, but it just set me apart from everybody else because it's like with the other Black people that were like raised in the district, they were used to that type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They just like, oh, that's how it is. With me, I'm
Right.
like, man, fuck all that.
Right.
What y'all mean? Like, I used to get in a lot of trouble just because like I'll never go against the grain, like of Black people, period. Like, y'all just not about to treat me any kind of way.
Right.
Especially because like I know like we is equal. Y'all not know better than me.
Hello?
Like, period. Point blank. Y'all not know better than me. I still was on honor roll. Like, they were
Period.
so
Right.
surprised when they were like, oh, you on honor roll like all the time. Like, yeah, I am. Like, when I was president of clubs and things like that, they
remember
just
you
like
told me
my
that.
resume was just like, oh my God, they didn't even think I was Black. Looking at my paper, but yeah, it's a Black woman behind everything.
Period.
So, but yeah, I would say I definitely have experienced some things.
I feel like as we having this conversation, I'm starting to realize that just like how I said earlier, that as Black people, we need to stop holding us to be the monolith. You know, one Black person as a monolith.
Mm-hmm.
White people be doing this shit all the time with
That's
us.
facts.
They do.
All the time, rather it's in sports. Don't get me started with sports, acting, all types of stuff. And I feel like that I'm starting to realize as we having this conversation, that affected me, you know, definitely as my weirdness, you know, becoming weird or just being weird in general as a Black
Mhm.
woman, because I just felt like as I'm being myself, me being weird is me simply expressing myself.
Right.
But I think I'm realizing too that due to also me being a Black woman, everything is just always looked at as this over the top thing.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense, especially when we talk about how, you know, white people who are racist or who you know, have those microaggressions and stuff like that. Like you were saying earlier, Ari, like every time you did something great, it was always like, oh, like
Mhm.
that's
Right,
that's
looking at you
that
like
shit.
you one of the good ones. Like,
That's the
I
shit
hate
that
that.
I would like experienced. I mean, all the time when I was going to white schools, like
Mhm.
all the time, and I just feel like that was just very hard, you know, of course,
Yeah.
and
That
like
makes sense.
hurt, and you know, that came with a lot
That
of
is
fucking
hurtful.
trauma.
It is hard.
Like I don't know, like
I was
But-
gonna say too, in like middle school, elementary, like I went to all Black middle schools too, so they maybe that'll add more context. I know y'all
Okay.
coming from the perspective of going to like mostly white, like middle schools and elementary schools. So that's maybe also another reason why I experienced it. I wasn't really around other races except for like in my like
okay.
neighborhood areas. Like when I'll go outside and shit, I'll play with them, or like this summer program that I went to that was in my neighborhood too. That's where I got to interact with a lot of like kids that didn't look like me. And like I was saying, I didn't experience any microaggressions from them. But as I got older, for sure, and that's another thing too, like you were saying, I just wasn't really aware of it. I became hip to it as I'm getting older. I'm like, okay, this is how the world works. So yeah.
type shit, right? This is how the world works. I had one to talk about what do we define as weird. I could start if you want. I feel like to be weird is to stand out. Okay, being weird is being unique. You're different. Okay, you're just that girl. You're just that person. You know what I mean? I feel like I would define weird as being comfortable within your own self, period, and everything that comes with it. You know, if something is going on, like for instance, I'm gonna use myself for example. I have dyslexia, so growing up, I always had an IEP and stuff like that. I already felt like weird in a lot of ways too. Again, it's a mix of good things and negative things, only because like let's just say my friends who didn't have IEPs, they like, oh shit, JD, you got an IEP class, or oh you got dyslexia and stuff like
Mhm.
that. And I was just always be like, I don't give a fuck. I have friends who are autistic, you know, deaf, blind, all types of shit, but it
Mhm.
didn't matter to me. I feel like for me, it was just always about character.
Right.
That was always the determining factor. Are you a good person?
Period.
But what would you define as being weird, Ari?
Really to piggyback off of what you said, because you really wrapped it up right there. Just authentically being yourself, like, you know what I mean, just walking in your own path, walking your own way, like just doing you, period. No matter what anybody got to say about it, no matter what anybody try to, do about it, you know what I'm saying? You just being you authentically, wholeheartedly, and yeah, being that girl.
Period.
Agreed. Snaps on that. Hello.
I agree with y'all. I'm pretty much gonna be repeating what y'all said, but just being like genuine with yourself and showing up as the person that you know you are, and just like not allowing like society or other people's opinions to like push that part of you down, because I feel like everyone has that part of them that's like the rebel, and like I don't know, a lot of people suppress that, and like that's all like
true. Yeah, people suppress that all the time, like their weirdness, so to speak. But it's like that weirdness will be the very thing that gets you in the fucking door.
Yes.
That's what makes you stand out in the room.
Exactly.
Like, to be weird, you're the light. Okay? Like, don't nobody, and I feel like I've always realized this since I was little, but when I think about, what's the word I'm looking for? People who are popular, different stuff like that, it's not always about, oh, I want to look like this person and they're popular. It's like, no, like, be different. Like, just do some different shit. Just do you. Don't nobody think like you. Don't nobody have the same mindset as you. So only you can control that. So I feel like one of the best things about being weird is that you get to just also just be yourself and just set the tone for something different. It's like a breath of fresh air, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, I would also like to add to, like, being weird helps the people that are for you gravitate to you. Like,
yes,
just being authentic makes authentic come to you, if that makes sense.
Exactly.
So you gonna just being yourself, being genuine is gonna attract genuine people, and that's what you want around you all the time.
Exactly. I feel like, I don't know though, because real life experiences, I feel like when I talk about some of the challenges I faced from being weird, I feel like some cons I've experienced is I felt alienated. And here's the thing with that. I feel like when you feel alienated for being yourself, right? Or not supported and stuff like that, that's naturally really hard. But I think it gets even like harder, I guess you can say, when you also feel like you don't have the right type of support group or system, because I'm not finna sit there and act like, oh yeah, like even with my weirdness, my team been A1'd. Like, no, I've had to switch out family members, friendships, all types of stuff due to other people like clearly not seeing me for who I am in my weirdness, and for who I am in general. So yeah, that's some of the things I just want to talk about. Like, some of the cons of being weird. It's a lot. Yeah.
It's like a double-edged sword, because like when you're authentic with yourself, you attract the people that's meant for you, but at the same time, you being authentic is gonna push the people away from you, from like you said, family shit that it's hard to get away from, because like you've been with them since you've grown up. But, like you're gonna start to really push them out your energy as you continue to like embody yourself, and it's just gonna get too much for them to handle.
I agree. Do you feel like you've ever felt like alone during your journey of like?
Oh, absolutely. Especially over the past like 3 years.
Okay.
I just came out of like a major hermit mode, and like not even really like starting new friendships, and like I was like celibate for almost 2 years, all type of shit.
Congratulations.
Like, I'm not no more though.
He not no more with me. He don't know.
Ooh. But yeah, I've absolutely felt alone. That's been like but I think that's ensured such a awareness of, okay, all I have is myself at the end of the day. So I can either cheat myself out of living the life that I know I deserve by being myself, and therefore like attracting the things that are meant for this true self.
Facts.
Or I could be this false version of me and like attract bullshit that I know I don't care about and don't want.
Right, and the false version of you is gonna be way more hard to keep
that too.
So ain't no point to do it now. What about you, Ari? Like, what are some things that you've experienced that was just hard? Like some cons you can say of being weird?
Some cons? That's hard. Because I don't be giving a No, it definitely was hard in the beginning just to be yourself, because like you said, like your circumstances and like your environment kind of makes you want to, shy away from being who you really want to be. But
true.
Cons, that's tough.
Like, do you feel like you've experienced like
I would say
hardships?
Yeah, I would say loneliness sometimes because you just feel like nobody understands like where you coming from. Like,
yes,
you just feel like, isolated for real. But I really use that as like a power up for real, because being weird is just like one step away from being a trend. Like,
for sure.
For example, Nicki Minaj, everybody, the Harajuku mode, you know what I'm saying? The rap style.
Bro, man.
Nobody, you know what I mean? The alter ego. Like, it was giving weird at first, but like now everybody got an alter ego. Now everybody got, the body like Nicki.
We will
like,
never get that era back.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's
just a matter of time before people catch on, and then they just want to be just like you. So, you know what I mean? It's not, I don't feel like it's like too many cons with it.
Yeah, I don't feel like it's like, I don't know, like it's kind of like what you was saying, Venus, earlier, like it's a double-edged sword. I feel like the more and more you discover different things about yourself, it's gonna come with some challenges, and it's gonna come with some self-love too, but I think it's important to just be aware of yourself, you know what I'm saying, and definitely being comfortable within your skin at the end of the day.
Exactly.
But I just definitely had to speak on some of the cons because, I'm gonna keep it real about some things that we go through. But I think, though, in a positive light, my weirdness, it feels good to be supported in general. But, when we talk about, what weirdness means to us in the sense of our uniqueness and stuff like that, it's just a really good feeling. You know what I'm saying? I feel better. I do better. That's another thing, too. And for me, that's some of the pros of being weird, I feel like, in my opinion. What about you, Venus?
So yeah, I said cons. Pros, I would say, one of the main pros of being weird, I would say, is that you it's kind of piggybacking off the double-edged sword concept, but like you really repel the motherfuckers that they see something in you that scares the part of them that can't be themselves. So you really like push out the people that's not supposed to be for you. It's like a sign that says, I'm a weirdo. If you are pretending to not be a weirdo, you're not gonna like me because you're pretending to not be who you are, and I'm gonna show you the parts of you that you don't like in yourself. So I think that's a big pro. I think another thing is again, just you really build a big sense of like self-assurance and the lack for need of outside validation or outside like even reassurance, which is something I'm definitely working on myself or working on currently. But I'm really trying to get to the point where everybody say they don't give a fuck, but sometimes you do care about what people think. Like I would say 80% I don't, but then that 20% be creeping in. Like, okay,
for sure,
hell yeah.
And that's normal too, but I feel like it's important to also give yourself grace, even if that's the case. You know what I'm saying? And again, have a good supportive system, people you could talk about these things with, and they ain't gonna be like, well, you weird. Like, then that's gonna make you feel crazy. Do you guys ever like wish, or in the past anyways, I guess you can say, you ever thought to yourself like, damn, I wish I wasn't like this, like I wish I wasn't so weird?
Oh yes, sometimes
I have.
When I was younger, for sure. When I couldn't.
How did you grow out of that sense of feeling like that?
I grew out of that by realizing like everyone has their own struggles that they're overcoming, and like everyone like is gonna be good with the bad. So there's so many parts of me that I like, and yes, there's parts of me that I know I want to work on, and that maybe some aspects of me, or even just the way that I like process things. You talked about like neurodivergency. I don't know if we talked about that in the previous. I don't mean to open up another can of worms, because I know we probably should wrap it up, but that's another thing too about like me being I don't have a diagnosis for any type of neurodivergency. I have diagnosis for other things, but I think even just like thinking about the way that my mind thinks, I even like hate that sometimes. But as far as like the way that I present myself and the way that I express myself, I don't think I've ever had any feeling of, oh, I wish I wasn't this way. But definitely about the way that my brain works, the way that I even like process my emotions, being like a very sensitive person, which is also another aspect of being a weirdo, because people like to look down on people who can be emotionally vulnerable and aren't afraid of like crying or aren't afraid of like showing.
For sure, I agree with that. What about you, Ari? Like, was there ever moments where you wish I wasn't weird or so weird or whatever?
I can say probably when I was younger, I had those moments, but I feel like just being in an environment that I was, you just learn how to like pick yourself up, which
Yes.
it can be a good thing and a bad thing. But like in this instance, I feel like it was a good thing because like I wouldn't be who I am today without like being open to like being okay with who I am and what I like and how I think and the music I listen to, the stuff that I want to wear. Like it just make me who I am. So, and two, like I feel like I needed to be an example because I didn't really have like I don't have no older siblings. I'm the oldest. I don't have like really no cousins or nothing like that. So it was just me for the most part, until my siblings. So I always felt like I needed to be an example of, you know what I'm saying, being strength and being who you are, like period. So I feel like it's it's beneficial now because like I just love seeing my siblings like be who they are, like just dressing, doing whatever the hell they want to do, like and I feel like they tell me like I really paved the way for that. So that's something that I'm proud of. But yeah, like I just always felt like I just needed to be like that pillar because I just didn't see it like around me. So yeah.
That was beautiful. That was great. I want to talk about like some advice that we can give other, you know, young Black women who honestly just trying to figure it out or need some advice on like being weird and discovering their weirdness. Like, do you guys like have any advice for other Black women who may be struggling with that?
I would say first rule of thumb, try not to just say be yourself and not care about what people think, because I feel like that's so like
played out. They do say that a lot.
Yeah, so cliche. Okay, so I would say find, if you're scared to like start being yourself, like if you're in a phase where for most of your life you've had to be a shell of yourself and show up as someone that you know you're not, and you know you want to transition out of that and start being yourself, I would say if you do have like friends or family around you that you can actually trust, like talk that through with them. And if it depends on how deep it goes, or if it's like certain things tied to it, you may need to like therapy. I always recommend therapy for anybody who is any black woman. I would recommend therapy just because of the society that we're in. But I would say like have someone that you're comfortable talking to and like talk through, like if you have a parent and you say, hey, I've been wanting to express myself like this, I've been wanting to like listen to this music and wear this and do this, like if you have people that you can trust, talk to them about that and maybe they'll be able to help you out with that, especially if you're younger. But back to the cliche, don't care about what people think about you, because you're the only person that has to live in the vessel that you're in. You're the only person that has to live your life for you. No one can make decisions for you. And the sooner that you learn that you can't allow other people's opinions to affect your own life, the happier you will be.
Yes.
That's the one right there.
Sprinkle.
Yes, I know she was saying.
No, because I felt every word. Like, I love that. That was great. I feel like I did want to say, like, it's important that when you have your inner dialogue with yourself about your weirdness, if it's moments where you feel uncomfortable or you just don't feel enough, tell yourself that you're worthy. Say that you're going to do it anyways. And I will also say to look in the mirror, because I do it myself. It really worked. Continue to say positive things that you know to be true about yourself and what you define as weird, you know, and makes you happy and love yourself, and keep doing it and saying it until you feel comfortable. It might be uncomfortable sometimes, but I would highly recommend to continue to say that and do that anytime you feel nervous, anytime you don't feel enough, anytime you feel inadequate, but also even when you're feeling good. And yeah, definitely be aware of when you come into a sense of yourself and being comfortable within your weirdness, how other people around you respond in a positive way versus things that's not serving you in a negative way. And if other people can't accept that or don't like that, keep it moving, because you're not responsible for how other people react to who you are and your weirdness. As long as your intentions is in the right place, you ain't got nothing to worry about, babe.
That part.
You ain't got nothing to worry
the
about.
Intentions, period.
You good. What about you, Ari? Miss Leo.
You said advice, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so my advice would be just like any other relationship, take the relationship with yourself serious. Like, it's going to take some work, just like with any other relationship, but like that's the most important one you could ever have. So just like embrace who you are, because you are fearfully and wonderfully made. It's only one of you, and period. You, again, I hate to keep saying it, but you're that girl. Okay? You're that girl. Okay? If ain't nobody tell you, I told you.
Oh, that's so sweet. Well, if we ain't got nothing else to say, I feel like this officially wraps up the episode, y'all.
That was so fun.
I just want to take the time. Right, I was just gonna say. I just really want to take the time out to say, like, I appreciate you guys so much for being a part of this episode. Like, it really means everything, like, to me, for real. I feel like I wouldn't have had it with anybody else. And, you know, I just appreciate y'all for showing up for y'allselves and other Black women who really need to hear this perspective. You never know who's listening. You never know who you may inspire to be weird.
Thank you for hosting this and inviting us. Like, this is amazing what you're doing. Thank you so much for having us.
You know, I say it all the time. This is my actual friend. I love her real bad. I'm so proud of her. If y'all would, if y'all would have known what it takes to bring this to life, my friend was stressed, but I was getting my girl together. Like, you can definitely do it, and I'm just so happy to see everything play out and you doing what you're doing. Like, it's
building
giving.
Community. We building community around here, for real,
for sure. Proud of my girl.
So, what would be a good way for other listeners to stay connected to you guys?
You can follow me on Instagram at __Rieski, RYSKIII, and also follow my business page. I'm a lash tech, YRA.Jolie Extensions. Come and get you some lashes if you're in the Milwaukee area. Also, come and get you some jewelry at YRA.Jolie ACC. Follow me on Instagram. Thank you.
Period. Yes.
My main account, which I also post my music on, is V39US, and then in the bio of that account I have my my makeup account linked, and I also have my jewelry business. I'm gonna have to check out yours too, because entrepreneurs like, you gotta check each other out. Yes. But yeah, main account V39US, and then everything else is like tagged in the bio. So yeah.
Okay, period. Okay, well, yeah, like I said, this is officially the end of today's episode. What does it mean to be weird? Again, I am your host, Jada Weber. Please be sure to follow me on all of my social media platforms at Desaworld, DESAWORLD __ on Instagram, and Jada Weber on Facebook. Purple Phases is also available on all streaming platforms, and I will also be having its own page soon. Purple Phases is available to listen to every other Sunday, now at 2:00 p.m. at Eastern Time. Also, remember to tell a friend to tell another friend that I sent you. Until next time.
Period.
Bye.
Hey.